So let me show you what I'm seeing. I couldn't log into your website because the WP admin link isn't working. You probably just customized it, which is good. Normally you just go to WP admin. Or, I misspelled it. Or WP login and it's not working. So I just need to get that URL so I can log in and check. But anyway, I was able just to, basically do some checks. I don't think you have... I'm not sure if you have a caching plugin installed, a performance plugin. Normally it puts a little comment towards the bottom if you are. And I could look more into that and determine it looking at the headers, but I just want to kind of give you an overview of what's going on. That would be the first thing. But if you look, this is where I do most of my tests at web page test. So let's look and see what pops up. So so these are the three metrics that Google primarily uses to determine website performance. Largest contentful paint. This has to do with things painting on the screen. Painting meaning loading, like images loading. You have content layout shift. This has to do with things shifting around as the page loads, right? And then the total blocking time. This has to do with scripts blocking other scripts. As you can see, it's green, so nothing's blocking. So I don't see much of a problem with your website, to be honest. So if you go here and we go to it in incognito mode, I'm going to count in my head. 1 Mississippi, 2. So you're at 1 second. So there's not really much to, there's things we can fix. There's definitely problems, but your website performs fine. I don't see what you're seeing. It could be that you're logged in. If you go to your website while you're logged in, you're not going to get any performance enhancements that have been done. So when you're testing, just make sure you're doing it from an incognito tab or a completely different web browser. So the average website's 3 megs. You're at 1.8 megs, so you're good there. Most websites have about 100 requests, and these are requests, things that are loading on the web page. Like this font, this took almost a half second to load this font, a quarter of a second to load, etc., etc. Right? You're only loading 23, so your website is nice and compact. So there's nothing to worry about there. So let's see what's taking the longest to load. So this is the DNS lookup, the DNS query here, connect, and this is the SSL handshake. And this light blue line is HTML waiting. So it's not even doing anything, it's just waiting. Then the dark blue is when it's loading. It's inevitable. You're going to have little waiting times. There's no way you can get around 100%. So this is actually a good little, there's not a lot of white here. Sometimes you see websites that have this long light blue line here, which is a big problem. But you don't. So first thing that sticks out, obviously, are these broken links. So I'm going to send this to you so you can look at it. So this JPEG is a broken link. So this needs to be fixed. You can just click on it. You can see here what it's supposed to be. So these just need to be removed. Because you can see how long it's trying, then it finally times out after 2.3 seconds. Now, even though this says 2.3 seconds, this is a synthetic test. So, I went there and it took 1 second, right? So these synthetic tests are just general guidelines. Your core web vitals are good, and your actual, you want to configure your page or code your page to pass core web vitals, and you do, except for the yellow, which, it's not really that big of a deal, especially since you're not on a powerful, that good of a hosting provider. And you can see here, this is where the issue is. It's this top loading here. That's where it's getting its issue with the painting, and I'll show you what that is. It's pretty obvious when you go to it. It's this top, whoops. See how this fades in here? So we could look at that. You might have some type of special setting or something that it's fading in. I don't know. I just have to look at it. But like I said, I wouldn't really even worry about it. So this image is a PNG. So you don't want to have PNGs because they're a lot bigger, exponentially. Well, not exponentially. That's kind of stupid to say. Drastically bigger than JPEG, and JPEG's even bigger than WebP. So I'll just show you real quick. I went over this in that other video, but I'll show you. So this is a hands-on example. So this image here. So all you do is save it. Whoops. And for SEO purposes, I would call it Hybrid Wolf. So you can see it was like 400K, right? So what we want to do, first, it's not that big. It's only 400 by 400, so that's good. So we don't want to, and this is paint.net. This isn't paint. This is paint.net. And in order to use WebP, you have to install I guess PaintNet calls them extensions or plugins or something. It's just pretty easy. I mean, that was like a year ago. Maybe it supports them natively now. I don't know. But what you would do, instead of doing PNG, you would come here and you could do JPEG or WebP. I like to do WebP nowadays. And then click on Save. Then it brings up this quality slider. This is where you can really save a lot of, really affect the size. So at 100%, it's done from 400 to 215, or was it 350? I don't know. But this is where you can really save a lot of. I can get most everything down to about 30 without losing any quality over here. You can see it still looks pretty good. And we're down to 23K. So we're down from 400 to 23K, right? So that's what you would do. And we could look at doing a CDN, Content Delivery Network, which basically spreads out things loading on your web page to servers all across the country. But like I said, your website performs good, so I don't really see the issue. But let me go back here real quick. So do that with that image. And if you want to get all images, you can just go over here. Or your biggest files, bytes downloaded. So this one here. See this images generally I can get most of them under 100K. Generally, 90% and 99% under 300K. So these two are the main ones. And then just these broken links. That's the big thing. So I would optimize these images, fix these broken links, and maybe so you have this font loading, which is you can see here Lato. So it's loading the same font twice, which isn't good. Montserrat. I've never known how to pronounce that. I've never talked to a human when we're discussing that font name. There it is again. I think that's the second time it's loading. Lato. So you're loading fonts multiple times. I like to stick to the normal fonts, the web safe fonts, Arial, Helvetica, however you say that. New Times Roman, even though it's an ugly font, but Verdana, I think is how you pronounce it. All those, because you don't want to. These might be web friendly. I don't even know. Web safe, I guess, is the way to say it. But so I would reduce these to 2 fonts, even if you're going to use some of the more ones that aren't as popular, and maybe those are popular. I don't know. I'm not a developer. I don't really pay attention to fonts that much. But in conclusion, let's look at a caching plugin. I have an agency license for WP Rocket, so I can install that and see what happens. These large images, convert them to WebP. We could look into a content delivery network, also known as a CDN. Fix these broken links and see what happens there. And then we can look at the fonts. The problem with the fonts, it can get tricky because this font might be loading from one piece of CSS. This might be loading from somewhere else. So it's really, really hard to track them down. It can get very time consuming. So I hope this helps to kind of give you an overview of what's going on. And we will talk to you later.